Hi, I'm Pam Rotella, the author of Vegan Vegetarian Cooking. Today I wanted to cover a topic that is actually quite popular, and by popular I mean people want to know about it. When I mentioned that I thought I had cancer in late 2004, 2005, and I designed my own alternative approach to it, people want to know what I did. And I have been promising people that I would write an article about it. I just haven't had time, and so I thought I'd make a short little 10-minute YouTube video, or maybe two 10-minute YouTube videos, and explain it so that I don't have to spend hours or days trying to polish an article on this. Basically this video will be used on my pamrotella.com site. First of all, I should explain a little bit about the symptoms. I was in an auto accident in 2002. Some kid turned left in front of me at the last minute. My car was crashed all the way back to the engine. The airbags went off, all that stuff. The car was destroyed. And I had, what shall I say, a lot of symptoms and a lot of things to deal with. It took me a while to get over that. And one thing that happened shortly after the accident was on the right side of my breast, a little lump appeared. Now, when I was in the auto accident, I mean, it was black and blue all over my chest and arms, and, you know, I even have photographs of this. I mean, it was black. It was black by the time I got to the hospital. That's how bruised I was. In fact, twice they pulled me aside and asked me, you know, was I really in a car accident or was I a battered woman? I guess they're trained to ask people that kind of thing. But, you know, I mean, here was my mother, a little old lady, you know, in her 70s, and they're pulling me aside and asking me, you know, as if she would have beaten me up. But no, she just came with me to the hospital, and, you know, I mean, everyone was concerned for me, but when I got that lump in my breast, I mean, it wasn't as big as a ping pong ball, but it wasn't as small as a large marble. It was somewhere in between. I didn't know if it was just scar tissue from the accident or if it was something to be concerned about, but I was really busy dealing with my other symptoms. I mean, I was seeing chiropractors, I was trying different supplements to try to help myself through this thing. I was trying to get back to work, you know, so I wouldn't have a massive loss in wages, you know, those kinds of things. And I figured I was really well versed in alternative medicine. If it turned out to be cancer later, I'd deal with it. Well, the lump sat there for a couple years. And I just assumed by that time it was scar tissue because it didn't seem to be doing anything. It didn't seem to be bothering me at all. Nothing seemed to be happening. And then in late 2004, I started to get some symptoms in a bad way. First of all, I must say that my diet at the time was really poor. I was really stressed out. The economy was bad for computer analysts, you know, programmers like myself. And, you know, basically all our jobs were going to India at the time, and it was really hard to find work. I just ate roasted potatoes and red wine or balsamic vinegar and salt night after night. I mean, there were some other things I ate too, but that was usually my supper. And I might get some soup or something, you know, light at the salad bar near where I worked during the day, but that was about it. And, you know, a lot of people have mentioned vinegar and cancer, but, you know, I'm not going to speculate on that because I really haven't researched it that heavily. But I started to get some symptoms, and it's almost like Hulda Clark says, in her experience, bacteria from the teeth start migrating down and taking over a tumor, I guess when your immune system is weak. And I seem to experience that. At the time, I had had my mercury fillings removed from the upper teeth by a holistic dentist, of course, but I hadn't been able to afford doing it for the lower teeth. And, you know, the fillings had been put in. They were metal fillings, mercury fillings, put in when I was a kid. All around them. I mean, the dentist has shown me digital photographs of how it was like cracked all around the fillings because they expand and interact differently than your teeth. This happens over a number of years. I mean, fillings have been in there for decades, and the teeth on the bottom needed to be reworked, but at the time I couldn't afford it, so I was putting it off, and I could just feel it. I mean, the next thing you know, at first it felt like I was getting a slight tooth infection, then the gland in my neck was swollen, and the armpits a little, and then the breast. And the thing about the breast, though, was the tumor started to grow, and it started to grow really rapidly until I was facing like a large sausage-shaped tumor that started on the right side and came out on the left side of the right breast. And And also, I mean, the glands started to get swollen in my neck and my armpit and my breast to the point where it was even painful to touch where the glands were because they were swollen that badly. Now, of course, I didn't stand by with all this going on. I started treating myself. Now, I'm not telling people what to do. The thing is, I'm just putting this out there so that when people are considering different options, they can, draw from my experience as well. People have to decide what's right for themselves, and, I never really tell people what to do. I can tell them what worked for me and what didn't to try to help them, like if they decide to decline chemo and radiation and just go home and try different stuff, maybe my stuff will help them. But basically, I would never go for chemo or radiation. I'd been studying alternative medicine since another auto accident, again caused by a young man, in '98. I had learned a lot about alternative medicine, and I'd seen the studies. I know the score on chemo and radiation, and I wasn't going to go that way. And I've also met people personally who have done alternative treatments, and a variety of them have worked for them. I've also known people who've done the traditional thing, and I know how they fared. Not many of them are alive today. So, in fact, I only know one that's still alive. But anyway, the thing is, I started with the zapper because I had the zapper. I had the zapper handy. It had been a bad flu season that year. I'd been using the zapper quite a lot. I had one. So I just started zapping every day. But the thing is, I was so fatigued and my fever would occasionally spike, I could hardly even get out of bed. That was another symptom. And so I would zap and I'd be able to go to work, but then in order to continue working, about 3 to 4 hours later, I'd zap again to where I was zapping 2 or 3 times a day just to keep working. Well, it's important to keep working because that could buy me the rest of the supplements I wanted and needed. So I started zapping, and when I realized that I was pretty much in trouble, that this seemed to be the real deal, I started to make some changes. First of all, I'm a heavy coffee drinker to this day. I just had at least 3 cups today. No, probably 4 cups I remember. I may have had more. And back then I was a heavy coffee drinker too. This is a hazard of being an office worker. I mean, when you get tired during, well, first of all, it's in the office, and that smell, I mean, if you like coffee, that smell just, seduces you. If you're trying to, quit coffee, and you can quit coffee for a while, usually that smells in the office. It's like, oh, I could just drink 1 cup, and next thing you know, a few months later, you're up to 2 or 3 cups a day. So I stopped coffee, though. I stopped coffee because I know there's a number of cancer doctors. I mean, Hulda Clark doesn't like coffee. Dr. Wallach doesn't like you on coffee. Lorraine Day, Dr. Day doesn't like you on coffee. There are a lot of big cancer doctors or big the giants of alternative medicine, the doctors who are, folks who will be known for, basically in the alternative field. They're already well known and well respected. A lot of them are against drinking coffee. They feel they feel it helps cancer. It doesn't fight cancer. So basically, I stopped drinking coffee. I mean, for me to give up coffee, I had to be serious. I drank more water. I got more sleep. I started to eat a lot of raw organic carrots. I stopped eating so much cooked food.